Chioma Onyido is a PhD researcher at Covenant University, Nigeria, specializing in bioinformatics with a focus on cancer genomics and polygenic risk score (PRS) analysis. Her research aims to improve risk prediction models for underrepresented populations by evaluating and optimizing PRS methods. She holds a BSc and MSc in biochemistry from Covenant University, graduating as the best student in her department, college, and the entire university in 2021. After her master's, she secured a fully funded PhD scholarship through the World Bank-funded ACE Impact Project at the Covenant Applied Informatics and Communication Africa Center of Excellence, CAPIC ACE. Chioma's research focuses on improving cancer risk prediction models for underrepresented populations, especially in African communities, by evaluating and optimizing polygenic risk score methods across diverse populations. Her journey into bioinformatics began in her third year of undergraduate studies when she first encountered bioinformatics. Fascinated by the potential of computational tools in biological research, she pursued internship at health centers and laboratories, where she gained hands-on experience in clinical and research environments. Her curiosity and determination led her to secure a highly competitive internship with the BUGSIGDB Bioreach. After completing her internship, Chioma returned as a mentor and co-mentors new contributors, guiding them on best practices in microbiome data curation, and finds the experience deeply fulfilling. Chioma's works spans multiple areas of bioinformatics, including genome-wide association studies, GWAS, and PIS, performing quality control on GWAS forests to predict biomarkers in cancer datasets, gene expression analysis, analyzing gene expression data and identifying key pathways in breast cancer, data visualization, designing plots using R, ShinyGo, and EnrichR to effectively present enriched pathways, network analysis, exploring protein-to-protein interaction through cytoscape and Strange, technical reporting, authoring detailed technical reports and documentation using Markdown, GITLOB, and R Markdown, mentorship, guiding master students in bioinformatics, and contributing to the bioconductor community through curation and mentorship. Chioma's contributions to the scientific community include publications such as a deep population reference panel of tandem repeat variation, published in Nature Communications 2023, and toxicological profile of Dacryotes edulis and Passia americana seeds in male Wistar rats, published by Springer 2022. She has received multiple awards, including the Wellcome Connecting Science Travel Award, recognizing her commitment to advancing bioinformatics research. Chioma is passionate about making genetic research more inclusive and impactful, especially for underrepresented populations. She regularly shares her bioinformatics journey and resources on LinkedIn, helping beginners navigate the field. As a mentor, she finds a fulfillment in empowering students to develop their ideas, build essential research skills, and create projects that drive meaningful change in their communities. Beyond research, Chioma enjoys digital fashion illustration, cycling, and watching sci-fi movies. She's also an avid learner who loves exploring new topics and binge-watching TED Talks and YouTube videos, especially oddly satisfying content and ASMR cleaning videos. Chioma finds joy in continuous discovery and creativity, whether it's learning a new skill or watching mesmerizing visual content. What a wonderful citation. Welcome, 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 Ms. Chioma Onyido. We are honored to have you here as you take us on this journey of bioinformatics. We know and believe that it's going to be an insightful and impactful learning experience. The floor is yours, ma. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I am so honored to be here today to talk about a field that I can't stop talking about, especially on LinkedIn. I'm sure that if you're familiar with LinkedIn, You might have come across my posts one of these days. Bioinformatics is something that I've grown to be really passionate about, and especially because of its capacity to reach some levels that traditional laboratory methods, cannot always reach. Right. So, and more importantly, we're here to discuss what this means for Africa, our researchers, our students, and the entire scientific community. Bioinformatics is more than just a trending field. It is the backbone of modern biological research. When you talk about disease prediction, drug discovery, personalized medicine, precision agriculture, bioinformatics is there. But the question is, where does Africa stand in this revolution? So that's what we're going to be exploring together today. And I hope you walk with me throughout this lecture. Thank you. But did you know that less than 2% of the human genomes analyzed so far have been those of Africans? Even though we have the richest genetic diversity, we are still the least represented in global research. So the big question I want us to think about, throughout this talk is, what would it take for Africa to lead this next revolution in bioinformatics? We've heard several times that we have rich genetic diversity, and with our despite our rich genetic diversity, we are still very much underrepresented in research. So what would it take for Africa to lead? If you know the answer, I'll be waiting for you at the end of the talk. African Genomes by Prof. Zane Lombard, who is part of the genetics division in University of Witwatersrand, said African genomes harbor the most diversity in the world in one of her articles, and it's also been referenced in several articles by top researchers. So let's just get into it. This bioinformatics we are hearing, what is it about? What even is bioinformatics? So bioinformatics is an evolving discipline. It's something I'd like to call an interdisciplinary field that's, where we develop and apply computational tools and data-driven approaches to understand and make sense of biological problems. And I'll be presenting a chart soon. Yes, if you can see this, it shows the difference. This is why we call it an interdisciplinary area, because different aspects, biology, biochemistry, physics, computer science, chemistry, engineering, all come together. So the bio in the bioinformatics is biology. The informatics segment there is coming from computer science, mathematics, and statistics. So with all this put together, it makes up the bioinformatics component. Bioinformatics is where biology meets computer science and data science to answer complex questions like, how do genes influence diseases? Can we predict cancer risks using DNA data? How can we design better drugs faster? So just for the sake of clarity, most of the examples I'll be using in this talk will be, mostly genomic examples or biology-based example because of my background. So I hope I'm able to break it down clear enough for everyone to follow through. So bioinformatics defined by Professor Segun Fatumo in 2014, it is an emerging scientific field involving the development and integration of techniques such as applied mathematics, statistics, computer science, chemistry, and biochemistry to solve biological questions and problems. So, but did you know, before we really, go into this talk, let's look at some of the important, things we need to know about the history of bioinformatics. Bioinformatics, it's easy for today's students and researchers to believe that modern bioinformatics emerged recently, to assist, this thing we keep hearing, next generation sequencing data analysis. But In fact, the very beginnings of bioinformatics occurred more than 50 years ago, when desktop computers were still a hypothesis and DNA was even yet to be sequenced. So the foundations of bioinformatics, you can trace it back as early as 1960s. So this is one thing I feel like it's important for everybody to know. It's an evolving field. It's so if someone wants to say bioinformatics is new, they'll rather say bioinformatics is relatively new, because something that has started over 50 years ago, right? So maybe it's new in Africa, but it's been on for a while now. So bioinformatics, another thing to note is that bioinformatics did not start with DNA analysis. Yes, Francis Crick came in the 1950s and, brought up, discovered the spiral, the nature of DNA and all of that. But despite the knowledge of the role of DNA, we didn't even know much about the arrangement of the DNA molecule. So bioinformatics was used from protein sequence analysis. That was the starting point. But it wasn't coined as bioinformatics as at then. So they used automated Edman peptide sequencing, which was designed by William to do the protein analysis. So that was when the first protein sequence, insulin, was published. So that's another key thing. So the first bioinformatician was actually a woman, Margaret Dayhoff. So during her PhD, she applied bioinformatics methods a lot in her PhD research, and she's actually a chemist, a physical chemist. And because of her contribution to this field, it was so important that the former director of the National Center for Biotechnology Information, which is the NCBI, David Lippmann, he called her the mother and father of bioinformatics. Did you also know that the first ever biological sequence database was the Atlas of Protein Sequences, discovered in 1965? We've heard about a number of biological sequence database like NCBI, ClinVar, DBSNP, and all of that. But Atlas of Protein Sequences was actually the first, and it was in 1965. And this database was actually in a domestic computer because the internet didn't exist yet. So for scientists to use it, they could only access it via their telephones. Just imagine that. So let's also look at bioinformatics in Nigeria. I am a Nigerian, so I would also like to talk about this a little. So bioinformatics in Nigeria dates back to the early part of the year 2000. To reference this, an article by Fatima and colleagues in 2014. So 4 key organizations were actually initially involved in the development of bioinformatics in Nigeria. Number 1 being Covenant University, University of Ibadan, National Biotechnology Development Agency, NABDA for short. NABDA is located in Abuja, and then the University of Ilorin. Now we'll look at the current trends in bioinformatics. This image here might look very familiar to some people. The COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2 virus. So you might not realize it, but bioinformatics is already shaping the world around us. I don't think I take that back. I think everybody is too, that thing they say where even the deaf can see it, like it is glaring. So bioinformatics is already shaping the world around us. So this is me giving you some real world examples. For example, in infectious disease research, we saw how bioinformatics was used to track and understand COVID-19 mutations in real time. So we know how the whole thing started, and then bioinformatics was was used to after the whole sequencing, assembling understanding the genome and protein structure. Then there was sequence alignment, phylogenetic analysis. Then after which computational approaches were now used to identify suitable vaccines to prevent the COVID-19 infection. And they used something called reverse vaccinology, immunoinformatics, and structural vaccinology, amongst others. If you want to read more about this, it's at the end of the talk, you'd see some further notes to read. So another trend in bioinformatics is precision medicine. I'm sure you've heard about precision medicine, how tailoring treatments, not using a one-size-fits-all approach. I apologize for this image. I'm not sure if it's clear enough for everyone, but I was supposed to, enlarge it a bit. But yeah, if you can see it, so it's precision medicine is, tailoring treatments for according to a person's genome. So as opposed to the one treatment fits all approach, using one therapy for everybody, it could result in the person could either be cured or treated with it, or sometimes it would not even do anything, or sometimes it could even cause adverse effects. But when you use precision medicine, like tailoring treatments based on a person's unique genome, you can properly treat a disease, and that particular disease would have, that particular drug you're using to treat would have effect on the specific population you're treating. So another current trend in bioinformatics is agricultural advancement. So I took this cool graphic from FreePic. So there are so many areas where bioinformatics has really impacted the agricultural industry. When we talk about advanced crop improvements, and the whole thing about enhancing varieties. Like if you want to increase the oil content of your crop, this is not my field, so if you're in the field, you have to pardon me. I'm just based on research. These are the things I've noticed. So the improved resistance, if you want to program your crop, or your, maybe it's wheat or your specific plants, to have improved resistance to maybe environmental stress such as diseases or droughts. So bioinformatics has been useful here too. Then of course AlphaFold. I think everybody knows about AlphaFold. So AlphaFold won the was part of the Nobel laureate awards prizes given last year. So AlphaFold is a discovery, an AI-driven drug discovery used for predicting the 3D structure of proteins. So Google actually cracked this protein folding problem, and they entirely revolutionized the whole drug development movement. So that's another area. So now we'll also look at the rise of AI, which is artificial intelligence and machine learning in bioinformatics. So we can see AlphaFold there too. Path AI, which is an AI system for digital pathological image management system. So there's also Atomwise. There's Vida. Vida is a cloud-based platform that captures real-time data from devices and apps, and then deliver the insights back to the health plans or the providers to improve care. So another thing we're going to be looking at is the future of bioinformatics. Where exactly are we headed? So bioinformatics has not only become essential for basic genome and molecular biological research. It has also in areas like AI and machine learning, bioinformatics has been, applied in different aspects, different ecology, agriculture, to name a few. Then there's also cloud-based bioinformatics. I was watching was it a TED Talk now or a podcast, where there's this popular, I can't quite remember his name right now. He said that if he's to be 25 again, he's going to do everything on the cloud. So this whole cloud movement it has really created advancements in the field where instead of running your analysis, all this large-scale bioinformatics analysis, you can run it in the cloud. And platforms like Terra, Galaxy, Google Cloud, they've all contributed to this, and they've made it accessible to researchers. So another thing is blockchain for genomic data privacy. So the when you talk about securing genetic data while also allowing for collaborative research. So another one is synthetic biology, designing new biological systems for either medicine or agriculture, or for medicine and agriculture. This is not a distant future. It is actually happening right now, and you saw them presented in the previous slides. However, where is Africa? Where are we in this movement? Where are we? I don't think I cited. I saw any African, AI model stated that we do have, but we're still lagging. We're still lagging behind. So let's find out why. Why must Africa invest in bioinformatics? Why is it important to, why does bioinformatics matter for Africa? So like we already established earlier, genetic diversity. We have such a rich genetic diversity, and this is a gold mine for research. This is a gold mine for research because imagine if a treatment, they want to develop a treatment for, let's say, cancer, breast cancer, and it's not even imagine, they've actually developed treatments for breast cancer. But when they want to, use it for this side of the world, you see that it has like almost near zero performance. Like it doesn't really improve the health of Africans. That's because we're not fully integrated into research, which brings us to number 2. We are underrepresented in global genomic data sets. So I'm into population genetics, and for my research, I need to use genome-wide association studies data set, that's GWAS data. And the representation of Africans in the research, like for GWAS data, is shocking. Like you see, in 2019, there was a paper by Fatima et al. There was a paper, not by Fatima et al., but it was referenced that 3% of African genomic data, 3% of only 3% of African genomic data are present in the general GWAS data available, in the global GWAS data available, and it dropped, as if it's not enough, dropped again in 2021 to 1%. 1% of that. That's sad. So the third thing is healthcare impact. I think we already established this. We need to be involved in bioinformatics. We need to start generating our own data sets. We need to start making plans for that. Another thing is agricultural and food security risks. You know how our population just keeps increasing. We just, so we need to find better ways to feed the world, And one very good way to do this is by incorporating bioinformatics in the agricultural sector. Another thing is climate change is really affecting the crops and livestock. So this is another thing we should look at. Another thing is loss of African talent, popularly called brain drain. You see talented Africans, African scientists or bioinformaticians leaving for better opportunities abroad because nobody is investing here. So without local investments, Africa risks losing these experts. And these experts, we need them. We need the African talents. We need the young ones, like, to actually develop our genomic solutions, because building genomic solutions with Africa in mind, by Africans, for Africans, I think that is something we really need to look at. We really need to look into. Another thing is missed economic opportunities. the global bioinformatics market is growing, but Africa is not positioned to benefit. Why? So investing in bioinformatics can actually drive local biotech innovations. That is another thing I think is important for this. So there are a couple of challenges we must overcome. Funding, number one is funding gaps. We need more investment in African science. We need government, private sector investment in bioinformatics research. Then there's the problem of infrastructure. We have limited access to HPC, high performance computing, and then data storage is really expensive. You know how genomic data is vast, they call it big, the era of big data is heavy, large. So we need high performance computing space and enough data storage for this, and which is expensive. So these are challenges I think we need to overcome. So this slide shows this is a comparative chart, both inter and intracontinental, that shows the number of SARS-CoV-2 viral sequences deposited in the Global Initiative on Sharing Avian Influenza Data, GISED for short. Just look at Africa. I don't know if you can see this, but look at Africa. 1%. This gap, like barely 2%, 1%, and Africa contributed the lowest number of sequence data generated compared to other continents. And about half of these data sets were generated from just 3 countries, South Africa, Kenya, and Nigeria, of which 40% of the data set came from South Africa. Shocking, I know. So another thing I think we need to also look at, another challenge is skills shortage. Bioinformatics training is limited in Africa. We need to prioritize training and capacity building. Many universities I know still don't offer full bioinformatics program. But one thing, where there is challenge, there is also an opportunity. So how can you contribute? How can we contribute? How can we make changes? How can we disrupt this system? So these are the opportunities, based on research, and reflections, listening to podcasts, listening to leaders in the space. I came up with a couple of things I think are opportunities for African academies. And number one here is curriculum development and training. So bioinformatics training programs, like experts emphasize the importance of incorporating bioinformatics into the university curricula, right from the undergraduate level. I'm not even talking about graduate level, right from the undergraduate, because the foundational approach would make sure that the students acquire the essential skills needed, like they acquire these skills earlier on in the academic journey. So Prof. Anne Mugai said there is a need and a hunger for training in bioinformatics and genomics in Africa. And this was after a workshop they organized. They noticed this based on statistics. So another point under this is establishing centers of excellence, and we can see some examples already. This is already in place. CAPIC is the Africa Center of Excellence in Covenant University. Then ASGID, Institute of Genomics, formerly called ASGID, the one in Redeemers University. You also know about the African Center of Excellence in Uganda. There's another one in Uganda. I think there's another one in Ghana. So these are ways we can actually, solve this problem, establishing centers of excellence that would help to drive these efforts, train students, build capacity. H3A BioNet is also, part of the movement. African Biogenome Project, if you're familiar with all this. Another point to note is research and collaboration. We should try to partner with global institutions. And then H3A Africa actually supports bioinformatics research training programs at African institutions. They have this H3A BioNet Introduction to Bioinformatics training that they do yearly, where they select some institutions in Africa to host the bioinformatics training, and then students register in their local region, then they assign teaching assistants to teach the basics of bioinformatics. And H3A Bionet IBT training was one of my first encounter with bioinformatics, and the training was excellent. I was able to pick up bash scripting skills. I was able to learn about biological databases. I was able to learn about how to how to actually apply most of these programming languages to solve biological problems. So that's one effort I'm giving kudos to. They're really doing a lot. There's also the African Microbiomes in Health and Disease Symposium, which is a local research leadership initiative. Then another point is infrastructure and capacity building, investing in high performance computing. We raised these points previously. So we need to establish bioinformatics platform with robust computing resources. This is crucial. These investments would also help universities and even research centers to handle complex data analysis, especially the ones we need for genomics research. So another thing which I think is important, like opportunities for African academies, policy advocacy and funding, example, securing government and institutional support. So advocating for policies that would prioritize bioinformatics. This would ensure that there is, even if we have funding, the funding is sustained. There is enough resource allocation for these purposes. And then when we engage with policymakers, it can also lead to the recognition of bioinformatics as a critical field for national development, because so many people just feel like bioinformatics is not relevant. Some people are, should I say, allergic to accepting AI, the AI movement. Like it's not even, you just have, AI is now part of our everyday life. Like you use some people, you actually use AI sometimes without even knowing. The Google map you use is AI. When you want to book a ride from a certain location to another, whether Uber or Bolt or Rider, that's AI. Because how did they know that you're at that location, right? It's not magic, it's not juju, it's actually AI. So you use AI every day. Your smartwatch, it's AI. So it's, bioinformatics is a field. And in this African space, I believe that we need to engage with policymakers so that it will be recognized for national development. So Professor Kelly said that Africans have to take lead in doing these things because these are problems that affect us more. Breast cancer, all these malaria, they affect us more. So we actually need to drive these efforts ourselves. We can't keep sitting down and waiting for them to, do it for us. So another very important, like this is like one key point, open science, to encourage open science and open source tools, open science practices and networks to support data sharing policies. Then Dr. Nicola said that Africa has an opportunity to lead in open science by making our research accessible to the world while ensuring ethical use of our genomic data. So there are various African open source initiatives and networks that African researchers should try to join and contribute to and benefit, so that it will help them benefit from global open source communities. So here's what I learned from my journey so far. Open science is, as opposed to some other fields where you have to become an expert, you have to be an expert before you can actually make contributions. Open source is different from anything I've encountered throughout my journey. Open source is for experts. Open source is for beginners. Open source is for everyone. Like if you're just getting started, open source is there. So it's very important for we to encourage open source practices. Universities should integrate open source tools into bioinformatics trainings. Governments and institutions should also, encourage these things. Like there's some platforms, GitHub, Outreachy, like these open source platforms and initiatives. Even H3 Bionet, they have a network for that. So these are things that I believe should be noted down. So this is an example. This, if you're familiar with this icon, GATK, genome analysis toolkits, then this picture shows the African Genome Variation Project, then the H3 Africa. These people, they are platforms for great open source initiatives. Then another one is, the last but not the least, is entrepreneurship and innovation. So it's very important to encourage startup culture, to establish industry academia partnerships, internships, like let academic institutions and biotech companies collaborate, send their students to those companies to do their internships. These things can accelerate development of solutions that are tailored to African contexts. And these things can also drive local innovation in the long run. I remember when I used to see African biogenome projects just starting up on LinkedIn. They used to post a lot, not starting up, sorry, these days I've been seeing them, posting things about conducting numerous workshops, training scientists annually, to establish the whole bioinformatics ecosystem. These are great things these initiatives are doing. And I really hope for a time where there will be more. There will be more than I can count, because I can actually count them. So now this presents an untapped opportunity. Genetic diversity, our genetic diversity is our strong point. They even used to make a joke that you guys say Africa, they have the largest genetic diversity, even within the countries in Africa, even in Nigeria, even in the East, because I'm from the East. There are if you can count how many Igbo dialects we have in the East, I can't count. I can't count. So even within each of the sub segments, there is diversity. So I believe that this is our strength. It is not a weakness. It is our strength. So another untapped opportunity is young talents. We have one of the fastest growing population of scientists. So we have a rising generation of scientists, tech-savvy scientists, smart people eager to contribute to global research. And I believe that with the right training and resources, this can lead to big innovations in bioinformatics in Africa. Another point is growing bioinformatics and biotech ecosystem. We have examples like AceGID, Syndicate Bio, Yamachi Biotech. These are proving that Africa can actually drive its own research. Africa has talents. Africa has the voice. Africa has the potential. And I believe that the future is ours to shape. Thank you so much for listening to this. Before I end this, I would like, a brief game time. If you're with your phones, you don't have to be with your laptop. You can just go to your browser and type slido.com/hashtag 3204640. Just please participate in my game. It's not going to be difficult. I promise, just to, ascertain that you followed through, you understood a large portion of what I shared. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go to the quiz screen. I'll share it soon. So please, you can start putting that on your browser, slido.com/. Can someone just type it in the chat box if that'll be fine, because I'm about to exit this screen. So I'll exit the screen now. I see just one person, Shasha. Slido.com, or I see Jesu Joba, Dr. Seed. Thank you so much. I would let's wait for others to join. I see Aniola Adebayo. Thank you so much. I see Zainab Ige. Thank you. I see Floydy. Let's wait for others to join. You just have to type it in your browser. You don't even have to sign up. Just type it in your browser, then enter your go with any username of your choice. So let me just share the screen so that you just see what I'm currently doing. So the questions are actually timed, 15 seconds to answer. So you're being timed. So you have to choose the right answer and then answer before the time elapses. Thank you. So are you ready? Okay. First question. Okay, nice. Would you trust a precision medicine approach? Okay, I like this. Okay. Let's see the late commas. This was part of the first slides. Oh, I can see the late commas. Thank you so much for participating. So let's see our leaderboard. Wow, Jace Joba takes the prize. Okay, number 1, number 2, Akongbe. Wow, Uche number 3. Okay, excellent. So Jace Joba is the winner for today's quiz. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for participating. Thank you. So my gratitude goes to God for the success of this lecture. This is my first keynote lecture and I'm so grateful. I'm also grateful to Academic Grant Writing Enclave for the opportunity. Thankful to Bioconductor, my community, CAPIC ACE and the World Bank, the Psychiatric Genomics Consortium Africa. Thank you so much. These are some of the works cited. Thank you. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much.
I would now like to invite Dr. Adeyinka Richard to deliver the vote of thanks to our esteemed speaker. Dr. Richard, the floor is yours, sir.
I want to appreciate this wonderful presentation from Ms. Chioma Onyido. In fact, it's not high spoken, even at this time, and the direction that the whole world is going. And then personally, I believe I've gained a lot, which I believe other participants also have gained. So on behalf of the aid, that is academic and grant writing enclave, I want to appreciate your time, even put together these things together and make it presentable. It's a wonderful time that you have spent to put together and to present it to us. I really appreciate that. And then we that we participated, we should not just stop like this, just to have head knowledge, or maybe some of us we even jot down. We should practice it. We should take some of these things to art, like talk about collaboration, to take time to collaborate with others in other departments or other areas to come out with meaningful data or research that is that can benefit the masses, including Africa. In Africa, we are seriously in trouble because of some of these things. The drugs are there, but Africa, we are using one size fits all, which, according to presenter, is not good for us. So, I want to appreciate you also for this wonderful presentation. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Ms. Chioma Onyido. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us. We have now reached the question and answer session. Please, if you have any question, indicate by raising your hand, and your mics will be unmuted to give you opportunity to ask. Okay. Mr. Barka Peter, you can ask your question, sir.
Thank you very much, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Barka Peter Shembula from Federal University of Lafia. I want to first of all appreciate the presenter for that insightful presentation. There are so many things that I've not known before now, but my mind has opened wider than it is. So thank you very much. It's just a question about the last speaker, that mails has been sent to people. I'm yet to receive the mail. Please, how can I go about that? Help me with the mail so that I can follow accordingly. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, sir. That will be addressed soon, sir. Christopher Tarkap, let's have your question, sir.
You talked about using machine learning in research, in biomedical research. So, as a Nigerian, are there sources where you could get access to HPCs or GPUs, considering the fact that paying for cloud services are expensive?
Also, okay, so thank you for that question. Are you asking about free resources, or because there are free resources available for HPCs, right? And most of them are actually paid, but sometimes they offer free trial. I know about like cloud platforms like Terra. I shared it. I talked about it. There's Galaxy. There's AWS also offers opportunities for that. And I think there was a time where I got to in my research journey that I needed to upgrade I needed to upgrade the storage of my system, and then my supervisors were like, okay, let's do research on this HPC, like how we can apply for it. And I did some research on AWS, and I found that as if you're a researcher in low and middle income countries, you can actually apply for scholarship. They'll give you scholarship worth $5,000 or something. Then but you'd have to write a cover letter with your supervisors and all of that. Then if you also want to use AWS, they also have free trials. Even Microsoft Azure, they have free trials for that too. So it's the cloud, right? It's available to it's available for what's the word now, to Africans too. It's not because it's in the cloud, right? It's not like it's something that we have to go physically to use. It's in the cloud. With as long as you have internet access and you apply for these things. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I wanted to also ask, you talked about the fact that the genomes from Africa have not really been sequenced, just about 2%. Now, when you are doing research and you want to get like especially human genome sequences of Africans, it's quite difficult. And sometimes you have to apply to Sanga, you have to talk to Shegun Fatumo and some of these people, and you don't get it. So as for somebody who has been working with human data yourself, so how do you go about getting this data, especially data from Africa?
Okay, so that you actually raised a solid point. So the whole the whole issue about data sets, access to data sets is I think it's another challenge. So the nature of human genomic data is sensitive because it's humans, so it requires some ethical processes. So there are some databases like DBSNP, for example. If you want to get genomic data set for your analysis, DBSNP. So to get data sets from there, like whole genome sequencing data and all of that, you have to actually apply. So you're going to write, I think the last time I went through the process, I think this is what I can remember. You write a technical research use statement. You also write a non-technical research use statement, basically stating what you're going to be using the data set for. And then you'd also, the non-technical part, you're explaining it like you're explaining to a non-scientific audience, right? So that's one platform I know that. So when you apply with the right approach, they'll give access to data based on terms and conditions apply. So if you're interested, you can visit DBSNP. Let me see. Did I say DBSNP or DBGAP? Sorry, DBGAP. You can visit DBGAP. I'll just look up the study submission guide. No, not study submission guide. Controlled access data parts, and then paste it in the chat. Let me just copy the homepage so that if you're interested, you just look at it. And I think you raised another point about okay. So DBCAP is just an example. There are other platforms. There's Ensemble. You can also get from, there are other platforms in NCBI like SRA, sequence read archives, right? So that's another platform. So there are various platforms to get data set from. If you're looking for free data, you go to TCGA. TCGA have free data sets on RNA sequencing, gene expression data. You can also check Gene Expression Omnibus. They have free data sets on gene expression data. So these are like some examples. You can use ChatGPT, AI to query these things. Where can I get free access to data sets from? If you know it's free access, but if you want controlled access data, like all those whole genome sequencing data, then DBGAP is your best bet. And also, I want to make reference to your previous question on HPC. I realized that I only touched on the cloud-based HPC, that's the cloud computing aspect. So there are also like on-premise HPC, like some research centers in Africa, they've built their own HPC clusters. So this is something that is even encouraged. So that part where I was talking about infrastructures, like these things, I believe that these are the things we need to look at here, build our own HPC clusters for these kind of tasks. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you for sharing expertise and shedding light on the transformative role of bioinformatics in research and academia. We are very much grateful. We also appreciate all our participants for their engagement, thoughtful questions, and contributions to the discussion. Our many thanks also goes to our able director, in person of Dr. Wadzani Dauda, Director of Training and Development at Academic and Grants Writing Enclave. For those who may have missed part of the lecture or would like to revisit key points, the recordings and slides will be made available on our YouTube channel. Please, as you go to watch it, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Academic and Grants Writing Enclave is the name of the channel. Please like and subscribe on the video. Before we come to a close, I would like to invite our director for a closing remark. Dr. Wadzani Dauda, the floor is yours, sir. Welcome, sir.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, depending on which part of the world you're joining in from. Chioma, thanks for the awesome delivery. It was quite amazing. And thanks for the insights and all you've shared. And for all the participants, and we've had a lot. And I believe that a major take home that she draw is the fact that we think translational, we think in a more customized way in Africa. And you know, I was listening to the talk for the 54 Gen, the former 54 Gen CEO, when he was sharing his insight and all of that. And it's a broad field, and it's a skill set that if you want to develop yourself into it, you can. And like she rightly said, please, let's try to put all the things to practice, and we get to keep in touch. And I hope that all the participants that are on this call and people that will be listening in time later on, we please, every insight, every of the ideas, please let's put them to practice. We could start by learning from general free YouTube videos to specialized courses in bioinformatics to trainings and all of that. What those platforms do is that it gives you a more customized way to be able to ask your questions and get answers. So thank you so much, Chioma, once again. And thanks to all our participants for staying till this time. I can see, yeah, my friend is here. Dr. Suleiman, nice to see you on the call. Yeah, Dr. Suleiman, nice to see you. Good afternoon, sir. Yeah, and everyone that are here, all the professors, I can see a lot of you on the call, and several of consultants from various clinics and hospitals. Thank you. So, Dr. Suleiman, thank you. I can see you're trying to unmute. You want to say?
I want to answer you. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here. Good to see everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. So over to the secretary or the moderator. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. We are grateful for everyone who took out time to join us for today's key lecture notes. It's going to be an exciting time on the 22nd of February for another one. Please join us. Once again, thank you for joining us today, and have a great day, everybody.